Welcome. Today I get the chance to talk about one of the many unconstitutional actions performed by our government. Now, there are lots to choose from, but one of the most famous unconstitutional actions is by Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln, who was part of the executive branch, was the 16th president of the United States and is regularly celebrated as the best president the United States has ever had. However, Lincoln committed more than his fair share of unconstitutional actions, one of the most famous being the suspension of habeas corpus. Now, according to Merriam-Webster's.com, or dictionary, habeas corpus is an order to bring a jailed person before a judge or court to find out if that person should really be in jail. Or in other words, habeas corpus is the right to trial and a judge if you've committed some sort of crime. The right to habeas corpus is found in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 in the Constitution. It says, quote, "The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended, unless when in the case of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it." So now in the slide below we can see that Lincoln's proclamation of the suspension of habeas corpus. Now, a lot of historians and constitutional experts have argued about whether or not Lincoln was justified. Many say that he wasn't, and that a president should be protecting both the people and their rights. But before we can truly understand why it's not justified, we have to see an example of why he suspended it. So, John Merriman, a state legislator from Maryland, is arrested for attempting to hinder Union troops from moving from Baltimore to Washington during the Civil War, and is held at Fort McHenry by Union military officials. His attorney immediately sought a writ of habeas corpus so that a federal court could examine the charges. However, President Abraham Lincoln decided to suspend the right of habeas corpus, and the general in command of Fort McHenry refused to turn Merriman over to the authorities. Federal Judge Roger Taney, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and also the author of the infamous Dred Scott decision, issued a ruling that President Lincoln did not have the authority to suspend habeas corpus. Now, Lincoln didn't respond to this appeal or the order of the release of Merriman. But during a July 4th speech, Lincoln was defiant, insisting that he needed to suspend the rules in order to put down the rebellion in the South. Now, at first, other branches of the government didn't react, but 5 years later, a new Supreme Court essentially backed Justice Taney's ruling. In an unrelated case, the court held that only Congress could suspend habeas corpus, and that civilians were not subject to military courts, even in times of war. Which makes sense because the Constitution gives the power of habeas corpus to Congress, not the president. Now, did the people get upset? Yes and no. See, the Union Northern supporters were extremely happy with Lincoln because it benefited them, but the people that didn't support the Union were extremely upset. This caused a lot of controversy and fighting among the people. Even today, this is still a debated issue, for many believe that even though Lincoln may have gone past his presidential ability, it needed to be done, and thus it is justified. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Here are my cited sources.